Good morning, friends. I invited Jim here with us this morning. I wanted him to jump into the topic of the brain science of gratitude.
It's time for your Monday Minute.
So Jim is one of our psychologists here at Mayfield, and he really is an expert in how our brains work. And I think there's a really interesting connection that can be made between what our brain is doing when we are choosing gratitude. So Jim, I just want you to kind of jump into the idea of our brains.
I really like what you said about choosing. I think gratitude is one of those really cool things that we as humans can actually choose to do, even when we're not feeling up for it. And it will do this thing in our brains that's really positive. There's a lot of research about this, actually. And they call gratitude the natural antidepressant. There's so much research about it, that what it does with serotonin and dopamine in our brains. And so it is something that's really powerful for us as people.
So I want you to jump in just briefly, because not everybody understands serotonin and dopamine and all those things. So will you just touch briefly on what those chemicals are and what they're doing for our brains?
Yeah, they're highly associated with a lot of different things. But what I would say mostly is they're associated things with like bliss, happiness, fulfillment, those kinds of emotional content that we have. What we see is when we have more serotonin and dopamine, typically you find that your mood comes up in those ways. And so when we do gratitude, when we choose it, and it is something we can actually choose. It's one of those really rare things that we can say, I choose to be grateful for this. That it will actually turn on the production of those chemicals in the parts of our brain that are involved in pleasure and satisfaction and connection with people. And that's a really big deal, because there aren't many things I feel like as human beings we can choose to do. I think we hear a lot, well, I can't choose how I feel.
Right. Well, and that is the trick of it all, is that gratitude isn't necessarily a feeling.
Right.
It's almost like a state of mind. Is that a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, I think people mistake it for a feeling a lot because it brings up feelings.
Absolutely.
Right? It brings up joy, it brings up connectedness, it brings up satisfaction.
Sure.
And so I think it gets mistaken for that a lot. But I think it is it's very much a choice.
Yeah.
It's very much a place of saying, I can recognize the good in something, or I can recognize that today I may have had a bad day, but I get to go home and see my husband who I care about, or I get to go play with my dogs. We can find things to be grateful for. Some days it's harder than others, for sure.
Absolutely.
But there's that thing of being able to recognize what is good in our lives. I really like Viktor Frankl for this. And so I think that Man's Search for Meaning talked a lot about this. Even in some really dark times when he was in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, he found a way to find meaning.
Absolutely. Well, and I was just thinking about, was it Anne Frank? Nope. Corrie ten Boom. I was thinking about Corrie ten Boom, and there's a story of when she was in the concentration camps and how she found herself really grateful for, I think it was like fleas in her bed or something, because it meant that the soldiers left her alone, And so gratitude is not contingent upon our circumstances. We can choose it above our circumstances. And then what it sounds like you're saying is when we choose it, we actually have chemical responses in our brain that shift our emotions around that circumstance. Is that?
Yeah, and it's really powerful. Like, it starts to grow neurons in your brain. It's that powerful.
That's so cool. Well, and I would guess there's a connection as you're growing neurons in your brain to create really healthy neural pathways in your brain.
Yeah, what those neurons, where they've shown is it increases your mind-body connection.
Which is huge. I think that is so significant for us to be able to stay connected to our bodies, because then we do understand how we feel, and yet we still get to make that choice for gratitude.
Yeah.
So friends, I really want you guys to start to think about, how can I choose gratitude today? There's other episodes where we're going to talk about some different activities that you can do to help in choosing gratitude, but we've also done some grounding exercises and other things as well. And so I just want you to challenge yourself to see what it's like, whether it's a great day, a mundane day, whatever. Can you find something to be grateful for? And notice what emotions those bring up in you. Notice how it sets your day. Does it reset kind of how you're feeling and you move on in a different state of feeling? What is it doing in your body? Does it connect you to your body? So I know for some of you, you can just think it. Maybe for some of you, you might need to write something down to make it more poignant. Whatever you need to do, see how you can connect to what you're grateful for. All right, friends, get yourselves to Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.